Looking to get the strongest shadow Pokemon in the game? Well, let me help you out with that. So shadow Pokemon are not well explained by Niantic at all. It comes to a point where only half the community actually knows the real strength behind shadow Pokemon. Well, today we're going to break that cycle and I'm going to share all the strongest ones. We're going to be talking about both PvE, which is player versus environment, so raids, rocket battles, and then PvP, which is player versus player, so the Go Battle League, and anytime you're battling against an actual real life player. Timestamps will be below, by the way, for any section. So if you want to skip from one section to another, please check below. Before we start, I really want to quickly explain what shadow Pokemon are for people who don't understand. Shadow Pokemon in general are a statistically different version of a Pokemon. They'll take 20% more damage from attacks, but it'll also dish out 20% more damage. They also come with the move Frustration, which you can only remove during special Team Rocket events or by purifying your Pokemon, which will pretty much remove the 20% buff and debuff to attack and defense. It'll bring it up 25 levels and it'll increase each of its IV points by 2. Just think of them as statistically a little bit different versions of Pokemon and kind of like glass cannons. If you want to know everything there is to know about shadow Pokemon, I suggest checking out this video. It's my shadow Pokemon masterclass. We go through how to get shadow Pokemon, when to purify shadow Pokemon, what purifying is, what shadow Pokemon are, every single thing to know, which could help you before this video if you're still a little bit confused. Let me quickly go through you how we're going to be rating each Pokemon. For PvE, you can come to this website, gamepress.gg, Pokemon Go comprehensive DPS spreadsheet. I'll leave the link below for it. Scroll down all the way to the search bar. You're going to want to type in a typing. So for example, here, electric, you're going to type &@electric. This will pretty much show you all the best raid attackers for that type. So here we're talking about electric. I'm just going to sort it by DPS times TO. This is the best ranking for this. As you can see here, Shadow Raikou is number 1, and then Shadow Electivire, Shadow Zapdos, etc. This is how we're going to be ranking shadows for raids. So if you want to check all this stuff for yourself, do this, and you can just change the typing to a different typing here. So for example, if you want to look at grass now, you can now see that Shadow Torterra is the best shadow for grass. As for PvP, we're going to be using PvP Poke. This website has rankings for each of the leagues. So here you can choose Great League, Ultra League, Master League, and even some special cups. Pretty much here, if I search Shadow, it'll show me all the different Shadow Pokemon and their rankings in that league. So for example, here Shadow Swampert is number 7 overall in the Great League, and it's the best Shadow in the Great League. And then Shadow Machamp, Shadow Politoed, and you can come here and you can switch this. One more thing before we start, again, you can skip this section, check the timestamps below, but I really want to show you guys how to find out what Shadow Pokemon are currently in game. So if you are using those rankings and you're curious if you can actually still get a Shadow Swampert, you're able to find out if it's still available through grunts and leaders. Again, I'll leave the link below, but you're gonna want to come to silphroid.com/Team Rocket Invasions. Here it'll show you pretty much all the different types of Team Rocket grunts you can find and the Pokemon they'll give you. You can tell it's a Pokemon that you'll actually be able to encounter after battling them because it'll have a Pokeball beside them. So for example, here, if I find a grunt and they say, let's rock and roll, then any Pokemon in here that has a Pokeball is a possible encounter after beating this grunt. So for example, if I'm looking for a Shadow Tyranitar, then I know if I battle a rock type grunt, since the Larvitar has a Pokeball and the Pupitar has a Pokeball, there's a chance I can get one of these, then evolve it into a Tyranitar. So Tyranitar in its shadow form is still available. But for example, here, if I come to one of the water grunts, as you can see, the Marshtomp here, which is one of the evolutions of Swampert, does not have a Pokeball, so it is not available right now. This website is super updated and always up to date. Always check this if you come to, for example, the grass type attackers, you see Shadow Venusaur and you want one for a grass type attacker. Come check here, see if it's possible. You're gonna want to come to the grass grunt and see if a Shadow of Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, or even Venusaur has a Pokeball beside it. So that's pretty much how you guys can do this research for yourself. But if you don't want to do the research, then I have done it for you. So let's get into it. The top shadow Pokemon in Pokemon Go. First, we're going to start with the ones that are currently in game as I'm making this video, and then we're going to go into the ones that are not available right now to get in game, but maybe coming back in the future. I'm not going to be mentioning any legendaries in this section. So if you're curious about any of the best shadow legendaries, check out the timestamps below. There'll be a section there fully devoted to shadow legendaries. So to start, win the Great League. First off, Shadow Poliwrath, a good Pokemon for the Great League. You can get this one from a water grunt by catching a Politoed and evolving it. We also have Politoed. This one's actually probably preferred for the Great League. This thing is insanely good. However, you need to use an Elite Charge to get it Earthquake for it to be at its top potential. Shadow Snorlax, this one is good everywhere, but in the Great League, Shadow Snorlax does play well. Always double check PP Poke because sometimes the regular version of a certain Pokemon will be better. Sableye, this is an exception here, and you've got to check out my video on when to purify Pokemon because Sableye is amazing in the Great League, but when it's purified and knows the exclusive purified move Return. So although you want to get this Shadow Pokemon, you don't want to actually use it in the Shadow form. You want to use it as a purified form with the move Return. Electivire, the number 1 closer in the Great League. This thing with energy and when shields are down can go absolutely bananas. Make sure you get yourself one. Wobbuffet, another example like Sableye, you're going to want to purify this one. You're going to have to use extra large candies. So if you're not level 40, you won't be able to get those. But you're going to want to max this thing out to level 50 with the move Return in the Great League. Magnezone, another example of a godly shadow Pokemon. Great everywhere, but in the Great League can do work. A great pick. Victory Bell, this one you get actually from the decoy grunts when trying to find Giovanni. So it's not actually kind of a real grunt, it's kind of a special grunt. Shadow Victory Bell with Razor Leaf is known to be a deadly menace in the Great League because you cannot block it or anything. Switch this thing on a Swampert and it's pretty much GG. Shadow Abomasnow, one of the newer great picks with its move update, but actually this Pokemon is great for the Great League. Can handle a lot of those flyers with its ice type moveset. Shadow Machamp, another example of a godly Pokemon everywhere. Great for the Great League, can handle a lot of Pokemon. A really good pick and a solid pick. Shadow Skarmory, although I think it's preferred again to have the regular Skarmory just because you'll have a little more bulk, this Pokemon can do work in the Great League. And finally, a little bit of a spicier pick, but Celio, a new Shadow Pokemon. This Pokemon can learn Body Slam and Powder Snow, which makes it super spammy and can dish out actually a surprising amount of damage. Now we're moving on to the Ultra League. Let's go through some Shadows. To start, Shadow Gyarados. This one you'll get from a male water grunt. Shadow Gyarados, with its kind of recent community day giving it Aqua Tail, is now a great Pokemon for PvP. Again, the Politoed. This Pokemon you're actually gonna want with XL Candies. So spammy, Weather Ball, Mud Shot. A really, really good pick to get. Again, the Shadow Snorlax appearing again because it's great everywhere, right? Again, the Shadow Electivire, a great pick here in this league. Great at handling a lot of water types and flying type Pokemon as it's got great coverage with Ice Punch, Thunder Shock, and Wild Charge. Magnezone, another Pokemon. You're gonna be seeing a lot of Pokemon appearing multiple times because they're good everywhere, so you're gonna wanna make sure you're getting those Shadow Magnemites and Shadow Electabuzzes from the Electric Grunts. Get yourself this Pokemon, a great choice. Again, the Abomasnow. This is actually where it really shines, is in the Ultra League in its Shadow version. It was actually the #1 overall pick for a while until Pokemon like Talonflame started showing up. And finally, the Machamp, another solid pick for any league in the Shadow form and even in the non-Shadow form. Double check PvP Poke again to see which one is better for each league. Finally, currently in game that you can get for Master League, Shadow Dragonite. This is a rare find actually because you have to get a Shadow Dratini from a Dragon Grunt, which is one of the rarest grunts to find. But this Pokemon is deadly in the Master League. Dragon Breath will chunk any dragon type you see. Again, the Gyarados appearing again because of that Dragon Breath. A lot of good coverage moves. The Shadow Snorlax, again, good for the Master League. Guys, you're going to be seeing the same Pokemon over and over again because those are the strongest. The Shadow Magnezone appearing again. This thing is deadly-ish in the Master League. If you're going to put it in any league, I'd recommend the Master League. By the way, quickly, you can use these Pokemon for the Master League Premier Cup as well, as most of the rankings kind of switch over. The Machamp appearing as well. This is where it really shines in the Master League in the Shadow version with XL Candies. Remember, all these Pokemon I'm mentioning for the Master League, you need to be running XL Candies. However, if you're playing in the Master League Classic, you don't actually need the XLs. Finally, the Mamoswine, a newer Shadow Pokemon, but this thing is deadly. It was actually the #1 safe swap for a while just because of the so many dragon types and it can dish out so much damage. Finally, running through raid attackers now. Shadow T-Tar, you can use this Pokemon as a rock type attacker or a dark type attacker. It's super relevant and the #1 for both types. But remember, Smackdown is a community day move for Tyranitar, which is a fast move, so you can't really just change that on the dot. The Dragonite, #2 dragon type attacker in the game, I believe. Again, Shadow Pokemon are deadly for raids just because of that 20% bonus. The Gyarados, great water type attacker, although there are better ones. You can still use this one if you have one for the Master League, might as well switch it onto your raid team. The Electivire, there's so many good Shadow Electric types. This is just one example. This thing is probably one of the highest DPS electric types in the game, as well as the Magnezone. Magnezone, although I think it does a little less damage than Electivire, it has a little more resistances. The Metagross, literally one of the best raid Pokemon in its Shadow form. This thing used to outclass all Pokemon before Shadow Mewtwo was introduced. This thing is deadly, get it now. By the way, you can get this from Arlo. Machamp, super good fighting type attacker. #1 in the game currently right now. Finally, the Mamoswine, best ground type and ice type attacker behind, I think, the Megas. Get this thing if you can, as it does devastating damage for raids. Again, if you want to double check any of these, look at the website that I mentioned at the start. So those are all the Shadows that are currently in the game that you can get, although some of this might have changed, of course, always double check Sylph Road. Let's now go through some Shadows that are really relevant, however, not currently available in Pokemon Go. Might be coming back at the future through Grunts, Leaders, Giovanni, but currently not available. So let's start through the Great League. Shadow Gardevoir, a really good Pokemon for the Great League just because of the power of charm. Shadow Swampert, this Pokemon is one of the best Shadow Pokemon in the game. You're gonna see him in the Great, Ultra, Master, and Raid rankings here. Super good Pokemon. Shadow Hypno, although it's not ranked well on PvP Poke, this Pokemon in a Shadow form and the regular form can have so much spice because of the amount of punches it can learn. Shadow Vileplume is good for special Great League cups. There are certain cups like the Love Cup that was recently where this Pokemon could perform really well with Razor Leaf. Shadow Venusaur is a really good PvP Pokemon, and even the regular version of Venusaur. Frenzy Plant and Vine Whip are just a deadly combination, especially in the Shadow form. It dishes so much damage. Shadow Flygon is a spicier pick in the Great League. You're gonna want its community move Earth Power on it, but this thing can do work if you use it right. Shadow Shifter, you're gonna see this thing a couple of times too. This thing already is a glass cannon, but now in its Shadow form is even more of a glass cannon and can literally one-shot so many things. Shadow Mawile, if you guys know Poke AK, this guy sweeps teams with this thing. Fire Fang with Power Punch is a deadly combo, and once this thing gets running, it can sweep through teams. As for Ultra League, we're gonna see the Shadow Swampert again. Don't even have to talk about this thing. Deadly, get it when it comes back. A Charizard, great for Ultra League, especially now with his double community move, Dragon Breath, Blast Burn. Venusaur, again, you're gonna see this thing pop up. Shadow Shiftry, again, this one you're gonna need XL candies for if you wanna run it, but it can devastate in this league. Finally, the Shadow Lapras, an old Sierra reward. Lapras is really good in the Ultra League, but now with the Shadow form, it plays completely different and can be a good choice. Finally, only 2 for Master League. We got the Shadow Swampert again, and the Shadow Charizard with XL candies can have some play, although there are better choices. I just thought I'd mention it here. Finally, for raid attackers that are currently on the game, we got the Shadow Torterra. You guys saw at the start, great grass type attacker, although it's not that recommended to max this thing out as it's expensive and it doesn't have any use other than that. The Shadow Gardevoir, best fairy type attacker in the game. Fairy's not the most useful type in the raids. Shadow Swampert appearing, great ground type and water type attacker. The Alakazam is a good psychic type attacker, but not the best. Shadow Mewtwo is still better. We'll talk about him in a bit. The Shadow Weavile is a good dark and ice type attacker. It's super glassy, but its DPS in the Shadow form is insane. Salamence, not currently in the game, but the best dragon type attacker you can get. You need the community move Outrage on it, but this thing is deadly. Now let's do this devoted section about Shadow Legendaries. Shadow Legendaries outclass pretty much all these Pokemon. These things are deadly. When one comes out, you want to make sure you grab it. Let's talk about which ones are good. We got the Zapdos here, good Electric type attacker and good for the Ultra League and the Master League. We got the Moltres, not good for PvP, but the best flying type and one of the best fire type attackers for raids. This thing can do work. We get the Articuno, the least preferred out of the birds, but this thing can do work in the Ultra League and the Master League. We got the Suicune, another not great Shadow Legendary, honestly. Probably one of the worst, I would say. This thing has not really any uses at all. The Shadow Raikou, the best Electric type attacker for raids. Good in the Great League, Ultra League, and Master League as a closer. This thing is deadly. Get it if it comes back. We got the Entei, the best fire type attacker in the game. Other than that though, no use. Finally, the God of Gods, Shadow Mewtwo. When this thing comes out, get it, get it, get it. Get as many as you can. This thing is the #1 Psychic type attacker, really good in the Master League, and it can be used as almost any raid type attacker just because of its crazy move pool. Like you can learn Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Flamethrower, pretty much any type of move, so you can use it as any type of raid attacker. So that's pretty much the video, guys. I know it was a little longer, but that's why I had the timestamp so you could check any section you wanted to. Question to you guys, what is your favorite Shadow Pokemon? I would love to know. Comment that below and comment below anything I might have missed and any shadows I might have missed and any questions you might have. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys learned something from this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Follow for more tips. Peace.